G'day Reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Thanks for watching Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're going to look at an epic tank. It's a 6 by 2.5 by 2.5 SBS tank, and it's one of the best SBS tanks you'll ever see. So let's have a look at the tank and then we'll show you exactly why this tank works. Here it is. So this tank is owned by a good friend of mine, Derek, and as you can see, Derek has a bit of an obsession with SBS coral. Now, we'll have a bit more of a look at the coral in a minute, but first of all, we'll check out the componentry and show you what is running on this tank to get such good color with the SBS. So let's look at the lighting first. So there are 6 Gen 3 radions that give excellent spread across this 6 by 2.5 by 2.5 tank. And there's also an artillery of wave makers. This tank has 10 wave makers. There's 5 Gaia style wave makers, as well as 5 more traditional eco drift wave makers. So we'll have a look underneath the tank and we'll show you the filtration and exactly why the water chemistry in this tank is so good for the SBS corals. So here we are underneath this epic tank looking at the sump and the filtration. So we have a biological filtration system, which is a large amount of scoria, which is in the center of the sump, and after the scoria, water feeds through into the skimmer section. And as you can see, it's a NIOS 220 skimmer with an excellent amount of skimmate in the collection cup. The water is pumped up to the tank from the sump with a Vectra, an Ecotech Vectra L1, giving really good flow, and it's also feeding the chiller, which is a Tico 2000 off a manifold with the return. So here we have the dosing system, and so we have a Kamoa master and slave. So we've currently got 6 of the heads currently working, and they're feeding a bit of a mixture of supplements into the system. So Derek's gone for the continuum for calcium and for the buffer, and Red Sea for magnesium. Now, with the calcium and the KH going in, he's also mixing the Coral Essentials trace elements. Now there's also a separate dosing head for potassium. I think that's continuum potassium. And he's also using a mixture of vinegar and brown sugar as a carbon source to help combat nitrate and phosphate. Of course, in a SBS system, minimizing the amount of nitrate and phosphate is critical. And one of the key aspects of this tank is about getting great color. And so by keeping the nutrient level low, that helps him to achieve that really good coloration of the corals. All the wave makers and the controllers are mounted up on the side here. And there's also a Senai. Now the Senai is being used so that Derek can ensure that the temperature doesn't get too high or too low. It also allows you to know if you have a power outage, because the little probe at or the sensor in the tank, if the power cuts out, the water level drops, then it will actually alert you to the power outage because it will be out of the water. So this is it for the filtration. We'll go back and we'll have a closer look at some of the corals, the rockwork and the fish. Let's have a look. So the 2 standout features of this tank are the number and the colour of the acro and SBS colonies, and also of the structure of the rockwork. And there's probably no tank that I know of which has a better aquascape to allow for massive numbers of coral colonies. And with this tank, there's just a huge amount of colour from the very left of the tank all the way through to the right of the tank and top to bottom. It's an absolutely incredible aquascape, and Derek has made the scape out of real reef rock and epoxy, and it's come together absolutely beautifully. So now we'll just spend a little bit of time looking at some of the colonies of acro and SBS, because there are some sensational pieces in here. So there's a very interesting history behind this tank. As it is, the 6 by 2.5 by 2.5 tank, it's been running for around about 3 years. Now before that, Derek had a 5 by 2 by 2 tank, and some of these corals have actually come across from the 5 by 2 by 2. But for the first probably 4, 5, 6 months of this tank running in its current position, there was a massive problem with dinoflagellates, and Derek went to enormous lengths to cure this problem. The tank was completely covered, all the rock was furry with dinoflagellates, and so it wasn't until Derek started the course of Dr. Tim's Waste Away and Refresh, as well as using blackouts to reduce the amount of growth of the dinos, that it actually came good. And so now the tank is absolutely thriving, and it's doing really well, as you can see. So let's have a look at some of the corals, and we've got this large turban colony just here, as well as below it there's a large lobophytum, lobophilia. And so these are actually original corals from the 5 by 2 tank, as well as that chalice which is creating a ledge just behind the two. And so that chalice actually died off halfway through the center, and it has regrown and covered up the die-off section. There's some great acro stags, a purple one over here, and there's this really nice, I'm going to call it yellow, Anya would probably call it green, but it's coming up through that open section of the rockwork. And this is what I love about the scape. It's absolutely beautiful with the amount of variety and shape, and allows for great positions of corals. There's also this huge Monty plate, which is very low in the tank, but as you can see, it's growing really well. Probably going to run out of space for it very soon. And then there's a variety of acrofrags. Derek has been really good at choosing unique acros that come through Gallery Aquatica and other shops. And so the amount of colour from the acro is sensational. So that's it for today's episode of Epic Tanks and Why They Work. I don't think you'll ever find a better SBS tank than this one. Given that a lot of the coral colonies are still quite small, this will be a really great tank for us to come back and do another video on. But if you've liked today's video, don't forget to like, comment and share. But we've really enjoyed bringing it to you. So thanks very much for watching, and happy reefing. So that's our video for today. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe as well. We'll be putting out videos every week showing a new tank with new products. There's going to be lots in all the videos. I'm Cam the Fish Guy, and keep on reefing.